And I made a promise and a commitment to myself in that moment that I was going to choose to give myself all of the things that I wanted in partnership, to be the best partner to myself. And then,
welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. Whether you're searching for the one, you're madly in love, or simply curious about romantic relationships, this podcast is for you. I'm Charlene Byars. Each week, you'll hear from women, couples, and experts, and all the ins and outs on how to create your own love story. I am so passionate about this subject, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Welcome back to the Love Stories podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Byars. Okay, we're officially in December, and it is the holiday season. Isn't just one of the coolest times of the year? I feel so much gratitude for life and the people I love. I look forward to the holiday season every year because I love all of it. I love coming together as a family. I love coming together with my friends. And I love decorating. Okay, I'm a little over the top, but it really brings me joy. And I love hosting. And I love having special experience and memories with my family. I love it. Holiday season truly brings me so much joy. Okay, I would seriously love to hear from you. What are your favorite holiday memories and things that you love during this time of the year? You can either email me at charlene@charlenebyars.com, or you can always message me on Instagram, Miss Charlene Byars, at MSCHARLENEBYARS. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And for those of you who take the time to do that, I would love to share it on the show. So I would love to hear from you. Happy holiday season. Let's talk about the tip of the week, which is do not chase men. It's not your job to chase men. It's your job to attract them and choose them. It's like you're the hiring manager and interviewing potential applicants for a very important job of being your man. It's about finding the absolute best man for the job and not settling for good enough. Ladies, that's what dating is all about. It's important that you put yourself out there and get to know and see who men are over time. Dating different men is an opportunity to see who they are and if they are truly pursuing you, and who is wanting to court you and get to know who you are. Don't just date one man at a time. Get to know different men at the same time to see who is truly the best suitor for you, who truly is your best match. That's the best part of dating. During the dating process, you don't have to settle and you don't have to chase. You can actually choose over time who you're truly having alignment with and who you are actually want to commit to. So ladies, do not chase men. Let them come to you. And ultimately, you choose who you want to be your man. Don't ever forget, you are the prize. I am thrilled to welcome my next guest to the show today. Fila Antwine is a visionary leader and a transformational life coach dedicated to empowering women, particularly women of color, through her coaching firm, Sacred Queen Company. As a CEO and founder of the Sacred Queen Academy, she has created impactful programs focused on trauma resolution, self-care, femininity consciousness, and healthy relationships. Fila's journey from overcoming childhood abuse to becoming an award-winning wellness coach has inspired her mission to help others heal and thrive. An acclaimed author who works include Strengthening Her Essence, A Woman's Guide to Liberation Through Truth, and Curiously Coiled, a children's book promoting diversity and confidence. Fila has been recognized by prestigious platforms such as Wall Street Journal, Huffman Post, and the Emmy Award winning Fresh Outlook. Through her programs and advocacy for gender equality, Fila continues to be a leading voice in life coaching and female empowerment. Get ready. I am so excited for this episode and the conversation I had with Fila. I was blown away by her story and the work that she does. Fila's on a mission to help people have truly amazing relationships with themselves and the people they love. Our conversation was so powerful, and I believe that it's going to be so relatable to a lot of us. I am so excited for you to hear this. This conversation was truly one of my favorites, and I loved it so much. It was so much value. With no further ado, Fila Antwine. Well, hello, Fila. Oh, my goodness. I've been so excited. Oh, my goodness. First of all, thank you for being here.
My absolute pleasure. I love your energy, so I'm so excited for this
Oh my
conversation.
goodness, and I love your energy. And I honestly, seriously, like I love the work that you're doing. And I just really relate to how you go out and you teach people about, relationships and love. And I know today we're going to hear all about your journey and your story, but I was thinking about something.
Mhm.
I want to ask you something because it was really like I was like right now, I just thought about this. What would you say? What do you think? And just your opinion is one of the things that are blocking women from truly finding, the love of their life? Well, I know that's a big question. I know, but I know there's so many layers here. But I'm thinking, what are you finding right now is kind of one of the main things that you're noticing that is blocking women from finding the love?
Mhm. Perfect question to start with. And I love that it's so complex and layered, but we can also give it a really simple answer. And the straightforward, simple answer to that is that women are not finding the loves of their lives because they have not fallen in love with themselves yet.
Oh,
And that's the biggest barrier and the biggest block. You want someone to love you unconditionally, accept you with all of your flaws and failures, but you have not committed to doing that for yourself. And so that is the biggest block that I see. And then from there, we kind of go underneath the surface to find what the particulars and the sources of that lack of self love is.
no, that's so good. And what do you think then? Because I absolutely agree with you on that one. I think it has to come within first, right? Like come within first.
Mhm.
What do you think then is blocking us? Like literally have been blocking us from loving who we are first. What do you
Mhm.
notice?
Well, society gives us a really one fit all, but doesn't fit anyone
Mhm.
type of ideal of who we should be as women. Particularly in my practice, I work with women of color. And so there's lots of outside noise that tells you what you should look like to be lovable, what you should sound like to be lovable, how you should behave to be lovable. And so if you're going through life constantly getting messages that you're not lovable because you don't fit this one particular standard, then you adopt that ideal for yourself. Well, if only
Yes.
I was better at this, if only I could be good enough.
Correct.
So, if I want to simplify that, it's a lack of worthiness. I don't feel like I'm worthy of love. And so then I don't give myself that love. And then I attract men who perpetuate the lack of love in my life.
Right. It really can be this cycle that we go through, like, relationships will have like a pattern, right? And so
Hmm.
so what do you think then is kind of like one of the first things if women are like, "Huh, this is interesting." I kind of noticed too that I put more blame on the men. And because I think it's really
Mm.
hard like we don't have a tendency to look inwards, right? We don't have a tendency to look inward. We as humans, we have a
Yeah.
tendency to look outwards and say, "Well, it's this person or they did this or this and this and this and this." And often I'm not even playing with you. I'm like, but we're also the common denominator, you know?
Hmm. Say that.
We're also the common denominator. So let me ask you that. So is there something too that can be a little more helpful for women to start, you know, looking more inwards? Seriously.
Of course. So I'm big on accountability.
Okay.
My husband would probably tell you otherwise, but
Mm.
I am big on us taking accountability, right? This
I
is
love
the
that.
role that I'm playing in this particular situation, this relationship, this dynamic, etc. And if we begin to look at accountability as empowering, it's me saying that I own my decisions, I own the
Oh,
results,
that's
and
good.
I get to determine what happens to me. Then we'll begin to move into a space and say, well, you know what? What did I say or what did I do that contributed to the result of this relationship or the
Mm.
result of this friendship or the result of this career move? As opposed to stepping into that space of victimhood constantly and saying it's someone else's fault. So
Yes.
I'm always looking to pedestal accountability and say, if you are accountable for yourself, you are becoming self actualized. You are empowering yourself and you're taking your power back from any external source or external force.
Oh, so good. Yes. Oh, I love that. Well, let me ask you this. Let's
Mm-hmm.
start with this too. Let's talk about you because
Okay,
that
let's
was
talk
good.
about
That was
me.
yeah. Let's talk about you. Tell me, first of all, where did you grow up and how did you grow up? And did you grow up with your mother and your father, or did you just grow up with mom and dad? What was the dynamics for you when you were a little girl?
So I am a woman of a certain age now.
Woo!
And so I grew up in the crack era, 80s and 90s in New York City.
Oh,
So
wow.
what a time, baby.
What
What
a
a time.
time.
Right? The good and bad.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just joking with a friend recently, and we were kind of like, what was going on that everybody was so crazy in the
Right.
80s? And they were like, Coke, all the Coke.
Everybody
That's
was
what
doing
made
cocaine.
everybody crazy.
They didn't know. We didn't know.
Right.
Everyone was like, "What is going on now?" Everyone
What
was
is going
hyper.
on? So hyper. And so I have such vivid memories of my upbringing. I grew up with both my parents were
Okay.
present. I am from a really large family. My mom is one of 11 children. My dad was one of five. We were super close. Both families on both sides were really close. My mom and dad were together since they were about 17,
Oh,
and they divorced when I was about 15. But so
wow.
this was the start of my life. It was very family oriented, strong foundation, all of that. And then this drug epidemic came in and swept through our neighborhood and most of the neighborhoods in New York City. And there was this drastic shift in the family dynamic, in relationships overall, and in what I saw as a young woman
Yeah,
being in that world.
yeah.
And so that has really shaped me,
Mhm.
right? That experience shaped just my outlook on life. This is why I'm big on accountability.
'Kay.
I'm big on not stepping into victimhood and taking responsibility for your choices. I also saw the women in my family be these strong, fierce, dominant forces that often did not have the best result on their
I
relationships when it came
know,
to
that's so
intimacy.
true. Ooh.
Like they were badass,
Yes,
they were getting everything
yes,
done, but
yes,
they struggled so much in their marriages and in their relationships.
yes.
And I saw that dynamic, and it shaped my idea of life and love and all of those things. And then I'm also a sexual abuse survivor.
Okay.
So, as a child sexual abuse survivor, I realized at some point, oh, I'm making all these shitty choices
Mm,
because I'm still operating from that trauma perspective that I'm coming from, thinking that all men are deviant, all
correct.
men are cheaters,
Yes.
all men are liars, all men are going to do these things. And so the culmination of the time that I grew up in, the family dynamic I came from, and my personal experiences really put me on the path to want to explore something else,
Yeah.
create something else for myself, for my children, and then to be able to share that with women around the world.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
So I hope that
No.
wasn't too long
No,
winded.
no, no, this you know what? This is all about you today. No, I love it. We wanna get to know you, and, we wanna know your story, and like I said, and we're gonna go forward in a minute and
Hmm.
see how you actually like because what the work that you're doing is so needed and how you're helping so many people. So I know it starts from your journey and why you're doing what you're doing, but let me say something. That was so good because a lot of times, men and women, honestly, we don't realize that good or bad, it is what it is. Whatever we have
Hmm.
experienced in our childhood really will affect us in all areas of our life. Like it's just going to affect us. And,
Yeah.
depending on, what we seen, didn't see, think all the things. And so often we go out, right? We go out and about And, based on our experiences, we either do the same or we're like, I'm doing the total opposite or whatever that is. But it affects us. It truly affects us. It's like that wiring already from a younger age. Okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mean, I'm just talking about the majority. Like, who's really talking about relationships? Like, who's really in, like, honestly, girlfriend, come on, who's really talking about relationships and really setting, and no fault to our moms and no fault to our grandmothers and no fault, but you know what? They back then, they exactly what you just said. They showed very strong qualities in certain areas, but when it came to the matters of the heart, is where you're like, I'm confused. You're like, what's up? Like, what's going on here? Okay, so let's talk about this. So, how old were you
Mm-hmm.
when you started really like noticing the boys? Like, were you a younger age or were you older?
So for me, it was kind of the opposite. So
Okay.
here's what happened. I was, like I said, raised in this den of women
Yes.
who poured into me and always made sure that I knew my value and my worth and all of these things,
Okay.
right? Sometimes, it was a little off-sided
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it came from their own mess,
Yeah.
but it was really like, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're all these things. You don't need a man in your life. That was the messaging
That
throughout
was
my
my
life.
messaging. Yep. You don't need a man. You can't
Yes.
trust a man. Blah blah blah. I got you.
All of that. So I
Have your own
didn't
bank
really
account. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
have a
Yeah. Yeah.
secret
That was
stash, all that. Yes. So that was the early messaging that I received. However, I started being noticed by the boys before I noticed them.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
And there's a really powerful lesson that I learned in that,
Okay.
right? So
Let's
when
hear
I
it.
was about let's say this is elementary school, maybe like second grade, so I guess
Okay. Yeah.
about 7 or 8 years old, there was a girl in my class who said, my brother likes you. And they were like the really tough family in the
Oh.
neighborhood.
Okay. 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 Okay.
And so I was like a little bit intimidated. And she's like, he has something for you. I'll bring it later. Later
Okay.
on, she brought me a gold necklace, a nameplate necklace, and it said hot chocolate on it.
No, she did not. You're like, what is this,
Like,
Mama?
what?
Hot
And so
chocolate.
had chocolate on it. And I'm like, first of all, where did this come from? But I was flattered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I took it home
Yeah.
and I was so excited to show my mom. And my mom's like, you are giving this back tomorrow. You don't take gifts from boys, all of that. I was like, oh my God, but it's so cute. All that. I want her.
Okay.
Gave it back. This same young man, again, I told you they're from a troubled family,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was him being romantic. He spray painted his name and my name on the sidewalk of our home, our block.
He was in
And
love. He was in
he was
love,
in
Mama.
love,
You're like,
girl. Crazy, toxic, narcissistic
yeah.
love at the
Yeah.
time, I'm
Poor
sure.
little guy.
And I was just, very resistant and very
Okay.
standoffish.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that sort of became the trajectory with me at a young age, that boys were extremely assertive in how they
Oh.
liked me. And what I realized was that
Okay.
the girls who went after the boys got ignored,
Oh.
but the girls who were grounded in themselves got the attention.
Oh, you learned this early.
I learned early, baby.
Wow.
And I was like, there's something to this.
You're like, hey. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did that, no, seriously. So that's a great story.
Yeah.
How did that play a part when you, like, how old were you too when you got your first boyfriend? Like, real boyfriend. Yeah.
So real
Yeah,
boyfriend, like
real
real
boyfriend.
boyfriend,
Yeah.
real boyfriend was, I was in high school by that time.
Okay.
So I had had little friends, that my mom,
your
people
little, like,
nobody knew about and all that. But
gotcha.
my real actual boyfriend, I was in 10th grade.
Okay.
So I was like 15.
Okay.
I was like 15.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind the story that I just told about, right? That
Yes.
experience and that lesson I learned.
Okay.
So this boyfriend, I'm 15, I'm in high school.
Okay.
So many of the girls like him. He's liking me.
Mm-hmm.
And he would eventually become the first man I was ever with sexually.
Okay.
But I made him wait a year and a half before we were intimate.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Like his friends were like, are you dumb? Why are you waiting this long when there are other girls?
Wow.
And it was like, well, you can go if you want, but I'm not relenting on that.
No. Wow. And
I'm
you
not
had this
relenting on that.
confidence at a very early age.
I really did.
You
And I
really did.
credit that to all the women in my family, my mom also, but
Yes.
I had like a supernatural relationship with my maternal grandmother.
Okay.
There was something really special there.
Okay.
And so, like, I was a little chubby kid. I would, like, on Sundays when she would make cakes, I would eat the
Yeah.
leftovers
All the
out of the plate
leftover
and sit in the kitchen
frosting. Yeah.
and talk. So I feel like she really embedded this sense of wisdom in me
Mm.
before I even knew what that was.
She was planting seeds, babe.
She
Yeah.
was planting so many seeds, and I had no
100%.
idea.
Yeah. No, you had no
I
idea.
had no idea.
She did.
She did, exactly. And then, it came up. And also, my parents were both 17 when they had me. So I
Right.
saw the rough patches in their relationship really early. And I was like, oh, can I curse
Yeah.
here?
You
Or
this is yes, you
I
can
was
do
like,
whatever
that
you
shit
want.
is not for me.
Yep.
That is not for me at
Yep.
all. And
Yeah.
so all of that played a part in it. But again, I learned to manipulate
Got it.
the energy in relationships, not to manipulate people,
Yes.
but to manipulate the energy in order to feel comfortable, to feel safe, and to get the type of treatment that I wanted.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And that is definitely something that, and I would kind of say, for the majority of us women don't have at that young age.
Right,
You know that,
right.
like, right? We don't really have that. During that time though, like you already kind of knew something different. But
Mhm.
what did you think about when it came to your future in the sense of like, were you a woman that wanted to get married and had kids, or were you still not sure about that? Were you more career oriented, or was that not even in your mind? Or what was up with that?
Marriage was the worst thing a woman could do from my perspective.
Wow.
I
Okay.
did not want to be like my mother.
Got it.
I did not want to be a good girl. I
Okay.
did not want to marry the first man that I had sex with. I did not want to be anybody's wife. I had plans of, I was pre law in college. So I had plans of going to law school and
Okay.
being this like, I'm making the money and I'm doing the things and I'm living this jet setting life. Kids I wanted eventually, but they
Okay.
weren't really on the radar. But here's the dysfunctional part of that. I knew I wanted kids, but I didn't want a husband.
Yeah. You're like, how is this gonna work? How is this gonna work?
Right, right.
You're like, wait a
Like,
minute. It
but
takes
that's the crazy
two,
part.
baby. You know what I
There
mean?
you go.
It takes two to have that baby.
Like, what?
I still
But
want the
this is how
husband.
screwed up we are when we come from those types of environments.
Yes, it really is true, right?
Yeah.
Because you have this perception of like, okay, I ain't gonna do what they just did. That was cray cray. Like, no, 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 no.
Hmm.
Love, respect, they can do their own thing, but that's not gonna be me because that's what I thought marriage is, and that's not what I want. No,
Right.
I got that. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so how long were you with this boyfriend?
We were together for about a year and a half until like around prom,
Okay.
when I was like, you know what? I'm going away to college. I kind of want to be free. Like,
Yeah.
let's break up. I don't know who I thought I was, but I thought I was somebody,
I don't know
girl.
what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You
And he
broke
was a
his
great
little
boyfriend.
heart.
He was a great boyfriend.
We love you, great boyfriend. It's not
Yes.
personal. We're
Yes.
sorry about that. It's just what it is. It's okay.
It's growth.
Yeah, it's growth. It's okay. Okay. So you went off. You're like, I'm good. I'm good. Now you are graduating from high school. You're a young woman and you're going to
Hmm.
college. And what was that experience like for you? Were you still in that same mind frame that you were, about boys, like, or were things starting to shift for you a little bit in college or not so much?
No, they had definitely shifted by the time I got to high school. I was really into the boys,
Okay.
liked the attention of the boys, and like I said, learned to kind of be flirtatious and kind of get what I
Yeah.
want in that
Yeah.
space. And so the mindset going into college was like, there are going to be so many boys from so many places
Yeah.
and so many choices. I don't want to have a boyfriend. I want to be free to
Okay.
explore and have fun and do that. And I had the best time in college. I dated, I went
You
out,
did.
I explored different relationship dynamics. But one of the things that I said to myself, and I made a promise, that I was not going to have sex with anyone in my first year of college.
Oh, that's so good. And where did that come from? Because again, that's a very wise decision
at a younger
Yeah.
age. A lot of us just don't have that discernment, and that's really good.
Yeah.
What was
And
that? What
not
was that about?
the discernment and the courage to even do that. It, even as an adult woman now, I ask myself, where did that confidence really come from?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So part of it came from fear.
Okay.
Fear of getting into a relationship and becoming my mom, my aunties,
Oh,
right?
that was the drive.
Getting hurt, getting
Yep.
cheated on, all of that. So
Yep.
there's a
That's the
wall
drive.
up to a certain extent. It's protective. And I think that's important to say because even some of the things that we do that seem like they're good things may come from your past fear and trauma in those types of spaces.
That's a good point.
And
Yeah.
so
The
one
walls
of
that
those,
women put up. Yes. Yes.
yes. And then on the other side of it, it then came from, like I said, me learning how much or how important sex was to young men and how they would switch up on the girls who did give it up too early, so to speak, and then the respect that they tend to give the girls who made them wait. And I wanted to kind of play in that space and see how long I could make him wait, how long was he willing to wait, and what was going to be the dynamic of the relationship up until that point. So it was really fascinating for me and it was
Yes.
fun. It was fun
It
to
was
play
fun.
around in that
Yes.
space. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because you were fun to play around and you weren't, being, intimate with anybody. So you definitely were able to pretty much kind of keep your power as a woman.
Yes,
Right? That's
exactly.
very important to
Exactly.
say because, even now as adult, the work that I do, I'm sure the work that you do, we probably talk about it in different ways, but I still feel the same. I still feel as a woman, even when we're younger, we're older, all of that how important it is to keep our power and to understand that the way men and women approach sex and what they think of sex is different and that's cool that's just
Mhm.
what it is and when we know this and we understand how important that is right like how important it is to have that type of empowerment for yourself as a woman knowing you don't have to
Yeah.
like I love that you're saying this. You don't have to be sexual so quick to, get the guy. No, no, it's the
Mhm.
opposite because if a guy really wants you, he gonna wait around. And if he's not waiting around, it's okay. Let him go. Let him go.
Yes.
Yes, that was really good. Okay. So again, so at a younger age, you're noticing that you had a different type of like you said, like courage, like a different
Mhm.
empowerment when it came to men and this confidence girlfriend that's freaking badass like no
Listen.
mama seriously wow, I can imagine you being my girlfriend at the time I'd be like oh I'd be like yeah that's what I need okay so how did that then okay so you're getting through college and you are really understanding I'm not going to give my power away I'm kind of having a good time getting to know different men um was there a serious relationship even before your current husband?
Yes, there
Okay, let's talk
was
about that one. What happened here?
a
I'm ready.
mess.
Okay,
A whole mess,
that's
right?
good. None of this is good. You're like, none of this is good. Because I tell women all the time, listen, Linda.
Linda,
We go
listen.
right. We go through. We can go through some bad relationships. That doesn't mean that's going to determine, the relationships moving forward necessarily. But
Mhm.
we can learn so much about ourselves when we go through stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, what happened with you, babe?
So I met a friend of a friend.
Okay,
Really cool guy. Oh, he's cute, right?
okay,
This is interesting. I was still in college at the time.
okay,
And again, there are multiple conversations happening and I'm exploring and everything is great. And
okay.
then I came back home and we started dating. And I want to say that there were like red flags very early on.
Mm,
But those red flags to me were attractive. I was like,
really?
ooh, look at him. He's tough. Ooh, he's a man. Ooh, these types of things. And I'll give you a real
Yeah,
example of
give me
what
an example.
happened
This
one
is
time.
really good because I think this is relatable. I think women are like, we do this. We actually do this. Okay,
Yes.
okay. What you got?
So we're out in a shopping area
Okay,
here in New York, a really popular area. So there are stores everywhere, but
okay.
you're walking outdoors, right? And we're walking and talking, and someone approaches him and they get into a fight.
Oh,
Like I'm standing there
you're like
watching the
right
fight
there.
happen. I'm right there and the fight just we're talking and then they're fighting. And I'm like, "Oh my god." And another girlfriend is with us.
Okay.
So the fight happens, there's blood, and we're like, what
So
happened?
it was a very aggressive physical fight.
It was aggressive, it was physical, it was drag,
Oh,
knockdown type
hell
of
no.
situation.
Oh, no. Okay.
All of that.
Okay. Okay.
And it was scary. And then it was like, what happened? You know,
Yes.
this is someone that I had problems with before and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so that should have been the key to my moving on.
Yes.
Leave, girl.
Girl,
This man is
run.
dangerous, right?
Yes.
You in danger, girl.
No, but that's what you're like, no, but so sexy.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, wow, he
Oh.
can protect me. Not
Hell
that
no.
he's the one bringing the danger in that I need to be protected
So
from,
good.
but
So
oh,
good.
he can protect me. And again, right, if we've ever been in a situation where we have been neglected, abused, abandoned in life, those triggers are still going to be there. And it's like, oh, he can protect me from danger. And so it makes me feel safe. But in actuality, he is the danger.
He's the danger.
He's
Oh
the
my
danger.
goodness. Why do we do that?
I think we do that because we don't know that we're
Yes.
making those choices and those decisions from that like hurt little girl, that
Yes.
neglected little boy, that abandoned child. And so there were things like that that occurred, and there were so many girls involved.
Mhm.
And it was just really the relationship, I say, that changed my relationship and dating life. It was the wake up call that I needed, right?
Yes.
Oh, what am I doing? What lens am I looking through? And is this the type of dynamic that I want? And it was like such a mess that there were girls who would call me and tell
Oh,
me
the
they were
whole
dating
thing.
him. All the thing. There was a girl who was pregnant, like all the things, all the stereotypical things. And it was a shit show.
Yeah.
But it was necessary for me to be able to see both sides of the way that I can show up in relationships and then eventually find some type of balance.
Right. No, that's so good. Yeah, that's so good. I hope that people are understanding that. And, when we go through these just, oh my goodness, relationships that we're like, what was I doing? How did I get in through? Like, no, like, did not no one tell me? Like, where
Where
was
was
my
I?
like, where was my mind? Like, did I really was with him? Like, oh my
Yes.
goodness. Like, I always tell people, I said, yeah. I said, don't worry about it, because that person you're crying about now, like, trust me, in 5 years, you can look back and what was I thinking? Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, but it happens.
Yes.
But for
Mhm.
you, when you were in this type of relationship, you were able to, after you got out of it, I know when you're right in the middle of it, it was just like, ah, but you were got
Mhm.
out of it, you were able actually to do some reflection and look at yourself, right? And be like, what just happened?
Mhm.
Why was I accepting this? Why was I showing up like this? And I hope, and I don't know, but I'm just saying this, I hope at that time also that you gave yourself, ladies, please listen to this, that you gave yourself, a lot of grace, because honestly, sometimes you guys, we can understand that we don't even know what's going on. Like, I love that you talk about a little bit about like how you were showing up more your wounded self, like, and you weren't where you're at now. It's different.
Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. The woman that
Yeah,
who were
so
you when you showed up then? Now you're different now. Okay.
completely different,
Yeah.
right? And taking aspects from the wound as well. So you can take lessons from the wound with you, but you don't have to take the wound and you don't
Yes.
have to bleed into the new
Yes.
situations.
Yes.
And it's exactly what you said. I was operating from my wounded self in that relationship. And what it taught me was that, oh, this is why I say when I was being that girl, so to speak, it was coming from the fear, it was coming from the pain. But as soon as I was like, oh, I opened up,
Yeah.
there were no boundaries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I had to check myself there also. And I remember one night I had like a whole dramatic, like telenovela scene
A
in my bedroom.
telenovela.
Listen, crying and sliding down the bed, all the things.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it was a mess, right?
Yeah.
But it was the moment that really shifted things for me. And I'm crying and I'm like, why am I going through this? And why does he keep doing this? And why? And it was like I literally heard a voice say,
Oh.
because you're letting him.
Oh, 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 you just gave me goosies. Mic drop.
Listen, and I was like, who's that?
You're like,
Who's
who's
that?
talking to me now?
Who said that? And it stopped me in the midst of my dramatic scene. And I was like, oh, I am letting him. It was a whole aha epiphany. The heavens opened up. And as simple as it seems, I had not realized that I had a choice in the matter until that moment.
Oh, let's go there. Let's go there.
And that was the moment. And I mean, crying and asking God, why is this happening to me? And I love him and all the things. And then because you're letting him happened, and it completely shifted the way I looked at love and relationships forever, because that was the moment that I realized, wow, I'm responsible for the love that I want. I'm responsible for the commitment that I want. I'm responsible for the respect that I want. And by letting him disrespect me, I'm disrespecting myself. By letting him dishonor me, I'm dishonoring myself. And I made a promise and a commitment to myself in that moment that I was going to choose to give myself all of the things that I wanted in partnership, to be the best partner to myself, and then say that if I can be this type of partner to me, God, source, the universe has to bring in an equal opposite. But I have to stay committed, and I have to move towards what I want only and away from what I don't want.
Wow. There you go, ladies. Here we go. How awesome was that? Because
it was amazing.
It's really, honestly, like, I actually got goosebumps, like, knowing that regardless, right? Like, our circumstances and what's going on, when we're in a relationship like that, and especially if they're toxic or whatever it is, we actually have a choice.
Yes.
That is so powerful. We don't have to continue allowing that type of abuse. We can decide, we can choose, like, who we want in our lives and how we want people to treat us. And if they're not treating us with kindness and respect, you can't change a person. But you have a choice to not be in that situation anymore.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So good. Okay. So how did that really play a part when you went off and eventually you ended up meeting your husband now? Was that a clear journey, or were there a lot of because ladies, we can get the discovery, but that doesn't mean, like, it takes a little time to put it in place.
Listen, so I'm gonna blow your mind right now, and for the ladies who are listening,
okay,
I had that experience, right?
Okay.
I said, I'm committing to myself, all the things.
Okay.
And just because I'm dramatic, we had a lunch date for closure.
Okay.
First of all, ladies, you don't need closure from any man. You can give it to yourself. Okay.
Oh, thank you. No. You have to, please. Can we talk about that? I know you're going to go into a story, which I'm so excited.
Yes.
Just talk about, I say this so often, but just that you just said this, can you say this again and explain why? Because that was so good about closure.
About closure, because when we are waiting for someone else to do something, it means that you're not giving yourself permission to end it right here. It's dependent on that other person. And what that really says is that you're not ready for it to end. You're still giving this other individual power over you. If you decide right here and right now that you deserve better, then this is the end. You can block him, never speak to him again, never see him again. And that's the end. And that's your closure, right? Your closure should really be, he's not giving me what I want. And so I'm going to move in a direction to get what I want. You do not have to allow anyone else to say that they're okay with the decision that you make, because it doesn't matter if he's okay with it, as long as it's what you need.
Oh, perfect. Love that. Thank you. Okay. So blow our mind. You're going into the story. What happened?
So a week later, literally 7 days later, we go to have lunch to have this closure conversation.
Okay.
And I'm sitting across from him.
Closure conversation. It even sounds ridiculous.
Listen, right? It's so stupid. Have the closure conversation. And I'm sitting across from him. And everything you said earlier, when you're like, where was I when I chose him? Who am I? How did this happen? I'm sitting across from him saying to myself, this is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Why am I here? Why am I even allowing myself to be in his presence or his space? Who came up with this closure conversation shit? And it was me. And what was I thinking in even being in the relationship with him? And he was talking, and I said, you know what? I really want to thank you for coming, but this isn't necessary.
Oh.
And I got up and I left.
Oh. Oh.
I got up and I left. And I went and bought myself a breakup gift.
Oh. That is powerful.
It really is.
That's
And even
closure.
telling the story again, that is closure. You know
Girlfriend,
what?
ladies,
I don't need this. I'm
that
done.
is closure.
Mhm.
Women don't give themselves permission to move on because they say all the time, well, when the relationships, end and things are, already cray cray, and then they're like, well, we
Yep.
need closure. Well, how are you going to get closure with someone that things are already cray cray?
Yep.
All they're going to do is just put that shit back on you anyway.
Mhm.
You have to make the decision. That is, Mama, I wish we were here right now because I would go ahead and give you some sugar and give you a big hug.
Oh, I feel
Ooh,
it. I
no,
feel it.
seriously, because that's so good. That was
Mhm.
so good. Like, it was literally like, you have a guardian angel by your side, baby girl. Like,
Yeah.
seriously. Ladies, please listen to this. How powerful that is. If you guys are in a relationship or you're dating a guy and things are, just not working out and in alignment, and really don't ever think like, okay, if believe people who they are from the beginning, they're going to show you. And don't ever think don't ever think you're going to change a man. I don't know how many times I tell people this. You cannot change a person. It's okay. Like, just believe people who they are. Don't think you're going to be that one girl that, okay, well, he's going to be different with me. Well, he's not, and that's okay. Like, it's okay.
Mhm.
And when you find yourself in that situation, please listen to exactly. This is the best advice I've ever heard. Honestly, it's kind of choking me up right now. It was the best advice I heard. It was the most empowering thing I've
Mm.
heard. That you're like, I'm good. Like, you totally gave yourself power, and
Yeah.
mama, and telling him, no, we're good. Thank you. And then the thank you. Oh my goodness, like, what a classy lady. Woo! Wow, I love that. Man,
Sometimes.
woo! No, but
Yes.
seriously, like, that's what we need to do. We gotta get our power back and say, you know what?
Mhm.
You don't need that from anybody. You're
Yeah.
really like, say a little more about that.
Yeah. You don't need permission,
No,
right? You don't need validation.
no.
You are enough. You have enough. What you say is golden. And in that moment, I accepted all of that. Like, you know what?
Wow.
I'll be okay on my
Yes,
own,
yes,
right?
yes,
This single life is going to be great.
yes.
And here's the really blow your mind
Okay.
part
Well,
is
you ain't
that
blowing my mind. What are you talking about?
in that self-acceptance, that
Okay.
acceptance of my own power, that reclaiming of my own
Okay.
power, I
Okay.
don't need anybody's anything. Here I
Okay.
am. I left, and a man walked up to me and asked me a question. And that was the man who became my husband.
No,
So
no,
the
no.
moment I shifted, my husband showed up. I promise you, this is the truth. This is my actual truth. The moment, this is why I say you have to love, accept, commit. And it sounds cliche, but when you truly do it, like on a soul level, everything changes. I left the building and was standing in front of the restaurant, the mall that it was in, and a man walked up to me and asked me a question. And that is the man who I am married to now. We've been together 20 years and married 14.
I can't even talk right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. How powerful
Mm-hmm.
is this? Ladies, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What I'm hearing you say today, there was such a clarity, a complete, almost like a like just a comfort in you that you're like, I'm gonna be okay. Like I don't owe anybody anything. You know what I mean? Like I know who I am, and I don't need to, get anything from this dude that it was toxic relationship. Like seriously. And
Mhm.
to have that clarity and to walk out, girl, and meet your future husband.
And met my future. Walked
Oh,
from the past and met my future right there.
wow.
Right there.
That's what I love. That's why I'm doing this podcast. This is why we're having these conversations. Because, ladies, this type of energy, this type of empowerment, is available to all of us.
Yes, it is.
100%. It's truly available to all of us. That's what we talk about, really getting your power back and really understanding that the right person is out there for you. But you have to be able to be open to accept them
Mhm.
and not
Mhm.
block yourself. Like not block yourself when worrying about Mr. Whatever, 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 right? Like no, you're like, I don't even no, that's not gonna serve me. And be able to let go and have that confidence. Oh my goodness gracious. That is fantastic. So what was it like
Mhm.
your journey with your current husband? Like what how did that, how did your love story transfer? Like was
Yeah.
it a slow burn or was it pretty quick or like what happened? So he asked you for a question?
He asked me a question, yes, but I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck men.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
that's where I
you're
am.
like, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he asked the question. I was very closed and like
Yeah,
attitudey,
yeah.
and I responded. And I know now that he picked up on that, and so he made a joke,
Okay.
and I laughed, right? And the
Okay.
wall fell down. And that was the first time in my life that I'd ever have a man approach me with humor instead of,
Oh,
bravado
yeah.
or that like
Yeah,
machismo. It was very,
machismo.
yeah, it was very like human.
Yes.
And there was humor there. And it was like, oh, that felt so good to just
Mm,
laugh.
yes.
And we took, this is New York, so we take buses,
Okay.
trains
Yeah, yeah,
everywhere. We were
yeah,
both
yeah.
going to the same place, and we rode to whatever stops, and we talked and we exchanged numbers, and that was nice. But here's the thing:
Okay.
people are still people with their bullshit.
Of course they are. Yes.
Yes. So you can meet your future,
Yep.
but that may be just the glimpse. There still may be some work to be done until you can actually live in that future. And that was our story,
That's your
that we
story.
both had to get to know each other and grow a little bit, because I still was bitter towards men.
Yep.
And, we were both very young. And I say this with everything in me,
Okay.
that my husband taught me how to be a wife.
Mm.
Before that, I did not know what it really meant to be a wife, because the wives that I knew
Yep.
were married to men who were never husbands to them.
Correct. They weren't showing up, and your
They
man was
weren't
showing
showing
up.
up.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
So, you take care of the kids and maybe you cook something and like that's it.
That's it. And then maybe give him a little
That's it.
nookie every once in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it. But you don't connect.
You don't
You don't
connect. You don't listen to like
apologize.
what's going on in his life. You don't
No,
encourage
none of that.
him. No, right.
None of those
You're
things.
not
And so
literally best friends, and that's what it takes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And my husband grew up with both of his parents in a pretty healthy marriage. So
Okay.
that was really different for me. Like the first time I ever went to his parents' house, his mom was bringing his dad his dinner. And I was like, what is this shit? I'm
You're like,
not doing
hell
that.
no, I'm gonna
I'm
serve
not doing
him.
that. Right. So it took time for us both to
Yeah.
grow, to really be mature enough and emotionally intelligent to say, you know what? We want this. We want to create something, build something. We want our children to see and have an experience that we've never had. And it's been work. It's been beautiful.
Yep.
It's been complex, but it's been worth it. And when I say that we work, we work. We've gone to personal development
Beautiful.
retreats together. We've, taken coaching together. We've done things independently and collectively, because it really is a lifelong journey to undo all of the trauma and toxicity and dysfunction that you learn, to the point where you decide that you want to create something different. And
Oh
that's really
yes.
been my story.
That's fantastic. And you know what it is too, honestly? Like I say this. I said, so when we are looking for, our our life partner, person that we want to spend the life with,
Mhm.
you're not gonna be completely healed. There's not like it's not, are you kidding me? Because what happens is, like, seriously, it's a process, and it's something that probably for the rest of our lives, and that's cool because who
Mhm.
we are at 20 is not who we are at 30 and who are 40 and 50, and things process differently. And this is what I realize, truthfully. So, ladies, when the work actually really starts is, yes, you actually have to meet the right person for you. You do. But that's when you guys have that up. If you meet the right person for you, is when you too have the opportunity to grow with each other and learn one another. This is the work. This is the work. And because you get to find out, oh, okay, I think I'm all healed and everything like that, but you know when it really comes into play when you get in your romantic relationship, because then you really see how you show up, how triggered you are, how maybe you're not the best communicator, but you're expecting that person to be the best communicator. And but you have to be able to have the right person to be able to mature into that and allow the relationship to get, better and better in time. In time. It takes
Mhm.
time to learn. So you two did exactly what needs to happen. Obviously, you guys were a beautiful match, but just because you're a beautiful match doesn't mean you're going to have this great relationship in the beginning. Hell no. No, you guys, seriously. No, 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 no. That's what they talk about. Relationships, just like anything else. You can meet the best guy. You can be like, I am so in love. Okay. You can meet, right? Like, hey, no, but it starts right when we get together. That's when it starts. You
Yeah.
got to keep putting that effort in. I always tell people, I said, listen, 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 listen. You know, continue dating, continue on allowing your person. Don't go into that dark, husband and wife, what society
Mhm.
thinks to keep things, in a fun dating way because life is hard, mama. You know that life is hard.
Absolutely.
Life is hard, you guys, but relationships should not be hard. So we do this to
Mhm.
ourselves. We should be able to mature with our person, grow with our person. And yeah, you're going to have hard times. I get it. I get it. I get it. So that's what you and your man did. Okay. Oh my goodness. I can only imagine the valleys you guys went through and the discovery,
Mhm.
and then you already said with your personality, you had a lot of um parts of your personality was kind of like, whoa, how am I really
Mhm.
going to become a wife? So we both feel in alignment here. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good, girlfriend.
Yeah.
That is so good.
And
Oh
I'll
my
tell you,
goodness.
one of the things that my husband did,
What did he do?
he basically said, like, I'm not putting up with your shit.
I love it.
I'm not.
Yep.
And I was like, but you have to.
Yeah, no,
You
no, you
gotta,
don't. Remember, he has
right?
a
You
choice.
right. He exercised his choice in like, no, I'm not putting up with that. And because he didn't, it forced me to grow out of my own immature
I
behavior.
love it.
It forced me to grow. And just like you said, you may think that everything is rosy and you've done all the work and you're the most healed, and then you get in that relationship and it's a mirror.
Yes,
And all of your stuff is looking you back in your
right
face.
in your
And so
face.
that's what it did. And he said, I'm not putting up with your BS, but also I'm going to be here while you move through it.
Nice.
And that's really powerful
That's
because you need a
powerful.
partner who's going to see your flaws and want you to rise above that, but who's also going to be present in the process of you rising because that can be ugly.
Yes, no, that's true
Yeah,
too, because that's where the healing can actually happen. And
exactly.
that's why let's talk about this real quick. So majority of the listeners are women, and we have men
Hmm.
obviously that listen to this podcast, and I would say, yes, we have a lot of women that are married and they're like, okay, and they're also thinking, okay, sometimes I can see that maybe I'm getting myself in the way, maybe I'm not having the relationship I want because I also have these kind of blocks, right? But then
Hmm.
we have women that are single and they're like, okay, I already had a bad relationship, but I'm looking for the right partner. How important it is to pick the right partner from the beginning.
It is absolutely important because if you don't, it's just going to be wasted time, wasted energy, and turmoil. And one of the things that I always tell my clients
Yes,
is
let's talk about that.
you have to be willing to admit that you want a partner who is equal to you, right? Because often when we're strong women, it's
Mhm.
like you kind of want a man just as an accessory.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
You want him to be there, but you don't want him to match you. So
Correct.
being able to say, I want a partner who's able to match me, who's complete on his own, I'm complete, and then we create something really different. And being able to receive him by accepting that he is a whole human being on his own, who you can't control,
Good.
who you can't direct,
Good.
and who it's not your responsibility to tell what to do.
Yes. Yes, ladies, please, for all the love I want to say out there, and coming from a mama of 5 kids, I'm just saying this: do not be the mother. Stay the girlfriend. Like,
Hmm.
seriously, don't be the mother. Just like we don't want our men to try to control us, because nobody wants to
Yeah,
feel controlled. We really want to be in relationships that we are actually accepted for all of it, like for all of
yeah,
it. And yes, and have room to mature and have room to grow. So it really matters from the beginning, you guys, because there's some amazing men out there. I promise you. I promise you. And it really matters. Take your time, because it really
yeah.
matters from the beginning who you're going to align yourself with, because you need a
Mhm.
man just like he needs a woman that understands that there's need to be growth too, and to have space for one another, and not to point the fingers and think that they're better. I totally, oh, so good. Girl, so good. Tell
Mhm.
the listeners what you do and how you help people.
Absolutely. So I focus on relationship building from a perspective of falling in love with yourself.
I love it.
I really work with my clients on creating a foundation of love so that you're living in love, which means that life just gives you all the things that you want in a way that allows you to attract men into your life who are emotionally intelligent and mature,
Yeah.
who are self actualized and aren't looking for you to be their mother, their receptionist, or their secretary, but they actually want you to be their partner. And so much of that is about focusing on yourself, learning to love yourself, and reclaiming that personal power. And everything shifts in that space. I do that through private coaching with VIP clients, as well as group coaching programs. And it is the most powerful job I've ever had in my life. It's part of my purpose, it's part of my gift. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have women's trust in order to do this work.
Oh, so good, mama. Thank you. No, seriously. And
Thank you.
what would be your advice then, for women that are listening this today, and they're kind of like,
Mhm.
okay, okay, I'm this conversation really struck a chord with me. Let's say they're there, right? And they're like, where do I start first? Because
Mhm.
I would say a lot of the women overall are kind of like really not giving themselves the grace right now too, like really blaming other people. And I'm not saying that, I understand we've been in relationships. Yes, the guy was a jerk and he cheated and he was toxic, 100%. Like, I'm sorry we go through that. Yes, that really actually is true. But if
Mhm.
you're single now, what opportunity do they have to start doing some of this work? What advice would you give them? Where can they start?
So, three questions I
Okay.
tell them to ask
Okay.
themselves. First question is, what do I want in love and in relationship?
Okay.
Have that conversation with themselves. The second question is, what would be great to have in love and relationship? Because sometimes what you want is limited by what you've seen or what you think you deserve because of
Oh,
your past
yeah,
experiences,
so good.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So what do I want? I want someone to love me and honor me and cherish me and travel with me and all that. And you look at that and then you say, but
Mhm.
what would be really great to have? Oh, it'd be really great to have a man that I can have children with, where we feel safe and we build generational wealth
Yes.
and we have
Yes.
a business together, all of
Yes.
those things.
Yes.
And then the third question to ask is, who taught me how to love and what are the lessons that I learned? So
Oh.
that you can then look at the people who raised you and groomed you, what they taught you about love, and how that is stopping you from getting the what you want and what would be great to have.
Oh, beautiful. What a beautiful start. Thank you
Hmm.
for that. That is really good.
Absolutely.
That's really good, you guys. And
Absolutely.
just go ahead and just, rewind that again. And just rewind it, because we're gonna write that down. Like, that's so
Yes.
good. No, honestly, thank you for that. You guys, seriously,
No, thank you
that's
for the
why we're
question.
but that's why we're doing this. Like, love is available to all of us. It's okay.
Yes.
You deserve, ladies, don't give up on love. You deserve a great relationship with a great guy,
And
that
great, all the other
all the
stuff.
stuff, have fun and everything. No, seriously. So what is life like now for you and your man?
Life is blissful.
Yeah.
Life is beautiful. Life is really amazing. We both are entrepreneurs, and so we run businesses, so
Oh,
we own our own
fantastic.
time. We wake up when we want, we sleep when we want. We have children who are beautiful and respectful and loving and kind and accomplished.
Oh,
And we all get along. Like, this is what my life is like. Last
yes.
night we were in bed, my husband and my daughter comes in, and then my son comes in, and then we're all just joking and laughing and having fun, and then they leave the room, and I turned to my husband and I said, this is a beautiful life.
Yes.
We love each other. Our children genuinely love us and like us. And we are creating a life that feels good to us. This is
Mm.
outside of the material things,
Yep.
outside of all of the like tokens and
Yep.
trinkets, but we have a healthy relationship dynamic with each other and with our kids. And that is most important.
Oh, I just love you.
Oh, and I love you, love
Oh,
you.
I
I
love
This is
you.
like,
This is
yes,
amazing. No, seriously,
yeah.
girlfriend, honestly, mama, how do people get in your world? Because I love your content. I just love your authenticity. I just love how direct you are, but you
Hmm.
have this ability. You have a little bit of this funness with you. That's the word I'm going to use right now. It's so good. So how do they get in your world if they're like, okay, I want to get in her world. I want to hear more about her or I want to work with her. What do they do?
Yeah, so I'm on all platforms:
Okay.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at She Is Fila, SheIsFila. Or you can always go to my website at filaantwine.com. But I always recommend, if you're on Instagram, come to Instagram. If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, I'm there. Take a look, take a listen, see how you feel about what I have to say, and then send me a message and say, hey, I came to you from the Love Stories interview and I loved what you had to say. And we'll just, chat it up and get to know each other. It is about building a relationship.
Yes, it's the same thing about really. Okay, you listen to that, you guys. We're gonna leave some of her handles here on the show notes, so you guys can go directly. Like I love what she said. If you're more Instagram, go to Instagram. She's all over. She's gonna give you all the things, all the things. Okay,
Yes.
and if you're over there, over there, over there, you got it. Get into her world though, because she's the real deal. She's amazing. She's changing lives. And I'm just so grateful and so appreciative to have her on the show today. Is there anything else that you would like to say, before we end this today? Because I would love to be on the, for a couple more hours, but I know we always have to get off the show.
Well, I did want to say, I didn't get to say it when we started, but I wanted to say that you are as beautiful on the outside as you are inside. And as a mother of 5 children, and to look as good as you do, baby, you are that girl, okay?
I'm gonna give her a little treat for that one. Yeah.
But this was such a great conversation, great interview. And thank you for having me.
No, thank you. No, thank you. And you know what? Eventually I'm thinking of I'm just going to just throw this out there right now. Look at me.
Mhm.
Really eventually when we hit our 100th episode, I'm thinking of having a in-person panel. And
Oh, I'm there.
I
I'm
would
there,
be
girl.
honored. I
I'm
would be
there.
honored to have you on that panel. You were the first one that I actually just said this to.
I'm honored. I
It
I
would be
it would be a pleasure.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, then you're gonna come out and see me in Arizona, and we're gonna have a
Yes.
beautiful studio, and we're gonna bring people here, and we're gonna get deeper into this with all things relationships and love. We're gonna
Hmm.
fire it up. Okay, we're gonna fire it up.
Yes.
Well, thank you for today. That was incredible. I am so grateful, and I can't wait till this episode is out.
My pleasure. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
That's a wrap. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness. I was absolutely blown away by the conversation I had with Fila today. There were moments that I can honestly say that I got goosebumps from what she was saying. I learned so much, and one of the biggest takeaways was how it doesn't matter how we grow up or the relationships that didn't work out in the past, because great love is available to all of us. We just truly need to believe. We get to choose how we want to be treated. We get to choose what type of relationship we want. Wow. Thank you, Fila, for this incredible story. Thank you for sharing your heart. You're an amazing woman, and you're helping so many people. If you're loving this podcast and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode, because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.